But thanks to Project 2025, the Trump Republican mandate to dismantle the federal government, we know what Republicans want education policy to look like should Donald Trump be reelected. On page 319 of Project 2025, the first sentence reads, quote, federal education policy should be limited and ultimately the Federal Department of Education should be eliminated, end quote. Project 2025 and Donald Trump also want to gut the American public school system, a system championed by the Founding Fathers and run, not controlled, by the federal government, but by the local community. All families should be able to take their children's taxpayer-funded education dollars to the education providers of their choosing, whether it be a public school or a private school, end quote. That's tricky. Project 2025 then calls for privatization of public education funding, which would mean, in effect, privatization of education itself. Quote, ultimately, every parent should have the option to direct his or her child's share of education funding through an education savings account, ESA, funded overwhelmingly by state and local taxpayers, which would empower parents to choose a set of education options that meet their child's unique needs, end quote. Like much of Project 2025, the things it says don't exactly tell you what it means. Page 482, for instance, has a section titled Eliminate the Head Start Program, which is a free education-based care and preschool program for young children from low-income families. Page 346 of Project 2025 is not even about education, but states, quote, no public education employee or contractor shall use a name to address a student other than the name listed on a student's birth certificate without the written permission of a student's parents or guardians, end quote. No public education employee or contractor shall use a pronoun in addressing a student that is different from that student's biological sex without the written permission of a student's parent or guardians, end quote. No public institution may require an education employee or contractor to use a pronoun that does not match a person's biological sex if contrary to the employee's or contractor's religious or moral convictions, end quote. All of this is just a small portion of the policies that Donald Trump and his Republican allies want to enact if they win back the White House and the Senate. Joining me now is the Michigan State Senator Dayna Polehanki. She is a chair of the Education Committee in the Michigan Senate and a former high school teacher of nearly 20 years. So you know much about these things, and this is one of those sections in Project 2025. It's a bit nebulous. If you don't know a lot about education and education funding, you may say, hey, I don't really understand what's wrong with this. But they are talking about dismantling the public part of public education.
That's exactly right. I've read the education portion of Project 2025. It's a disaster for public education. In addition to completely eliminating the Department of Education, it would eliminate Head Start, which is preschool for low-income families. And what you mentioned is it would establish universal school vouchers. So that is the funneling of taxpayer money into private and religious schools that charge tuition. So I'm here in Michigan, and Betsy DeVos, this is her shtick. Twice in Michigan, voters have rejected these school voucher schemes at the ballot box. So she has taken her show on the road to other states, and she no doubt supports President Trump's Project 2025. In addition, it would end universal school meals, end student loan forgiveness, dismantle teachers' unions, and end any meaningful class discussions about race. It's a disaster.
Choice and rights are words that Project 2025 uses with respect to schools. Ironically, not words that Republicans choose to use when it comes to women's reproductive rights and choice. But as far as school goes, tell me how this works. They're saying taxpayer dollars should go to wherever you'd like it to go. The public education system is based on the fact that taxpayer dollars go toward a public education which is open to everybody at all times, generally for no money because it's funded by taxpayers. Tell me why this concept of choice, which sounds amazing, I'd like to vote for choice, is not the right thing here.
Well, every dollar of taxpayer money that is funneled into private and religious schools is fewer dollars that go to support our public school system, which is what we're supposed to support as state legislators. And so it's a winnowing away a siphoning away of taxpayer dollars toward private and religious schools that charge tuition. And that's how it hurts. It hurts public education. It would really chip away and ultimately destroy public education as we know it.
And in fact, if you are worried that public education is not well enough funded, which is why some people want to send their kids to private schools, you will only worsen the situation by doing this. You will make them worse off. So those people left in public education will truly get an education that is not worthy of America.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And what the studies show is that wealthy families are mostly going to benefit from these voucher schemes, which have about 5 different names. Sometimes they're called education scholarships. So they're very sneaky about what these are. I call them voucher schemes. So any way you name it, they're bad for public education.
Dayna Polehanki, thank you for being with us and helping us work through this, because nobody wants to read Project 2025, but we actually have to tell folks what's in it. Dayna Polehanki is a Michigan State Senator. She's the chair of the Michigan Senate Education Committee and a former high school teacher for nearly 20 years. We'll be right back.